Today we're going to talk about the complete and utter disaster that was AFLX. Now let me just start this by saying that I don't hate AFLX like most fans seem to. I like that the AFL were willing to try something new and creative, and I still think it could make an entertaining sort of spin-off sport with some changes to the rules. For those who don't remember, AFLX was a heavily modified version of Aussie rules footy, essentially designed to be played on smaller rectangle-shaped fields, with the intention of it being played in parts of the world where sports like soccer or rugby are more popular. So you had smaller fields, significantly less players, and changes to make the game higher scoring, such as 10-point super goals. Throughout 2017, the AFL held some trial matches with AFL and VFL clubs to see whether the concept was worth pursuing. What's interesting is that following these trials, the AFL and the teams that had been involved felt it was a resounding success, to the point that an official AFLX tournament was scheduled for the 2018 pre-season. The 2018 AFLX tournament involved all 18 AFL sides, who were organised into 3 groups of 6 that played games over 3 nights. These 3 groups were then divided into 2 pools of 3 teams that would play against each other. A grand final of each group would be played between the top team of each pool. In the end, there would be 3 premiers. I know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. What's interesting about the 2018 tournament was that the Adelaide and Sydney games were actually played at rectangular stadiums, giving these games a unique novelty. It seemed the AFL thought this tournament was enough of a success to have another one in 2019. This time there were 4 completely new teams created specifically for this tournament. The players for each team were chosen in a draft format by the 4 team captains. This was apparently such a big deal that it got its own primetime broadcast on free-to-air TV. All 4 teams played against each other in a round-robin format on one night, with the best 2 teams playing off in a grand final. In addition to all this, some more rule changes were added. Super Goals now had a sponsor and were renamed to Super Goals, and each team was able to nominate one player as their Gatorade game changer, who would come on in the last 5 minutes of a game and whose scores would be worth double. Now, if all this sounds a bit ridiculous, that's because it kind of was, and the response to both the 2018 and 2019 tournaments was mostly negative. But I think the reason AFLX didn't work was actually because the on-field action was kinda boring. There was no real fierce tackling or physicality, and because of the reduced field size, it meant the players were just able to kick the ball from one end of the field to the other, which resulted in high-scoring games, but also meant the games were just aerial ping-pong, with no real pressure or challenge in scoring. So it's a funny situation where it's probably a really fun sport to play, but not that great to watch. But here's my crazy solution to making AFLX entertaining to watch. Change the rules so players can't kick the ball and can only handball it, essentially changing it from football to handball. It'd make the sport much more contested and bring back the tackling pressure, while also making it high intensity, as there's no stopping play for marks or set shots. Now that won't be better than AFL. Of course not. But if you played it in the summer, possibly in indoor arenas, I could see that catching on as an entertaining sport. You watch AFL in the winter, and then in summer, you watch this Handball X sport, which I honestly think could attract the sort of fans who watch AFL but find cricket a bit too slow and boring. As always, let's discuss it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.